Tonight, it's been 5 years today since Colten Boushie was shot by Saskatchewan farmer Gerald Stanley.
Every business, every investor, and every citizen needs to play their part.
It's a climate change code red for humanity, but is it too late?
All the more power, all the more stronger, all the more representing as a family.
And a Squamish drum maker is proud of her contributions to Canada's Olympic team. Good evening. Welcome to APTN National News. I'm Melissa Ridgen. Scientists say it's, quote, code red for humanity. A new and damning report came out today that says humans have caused a climate crisis well beyond any natural climate trends. The United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change says scientists are seeing devastating changes in every region of the world, and in many cases the changes are irreversible in the short term. Unprecedented fires, floods, and other disasters have been noted across the globe, and the situation is intensifying more rapidly than previously thought, according to the report. They're calling for strong and sustained reductions in greenhouse gas emissions to limit climate change and improve air quality, and the study noted that it could take 20 to 30 years to see global temperatures stabilize.
Every business, every investor, and every citizen needs to play their part. We can't undo the mistakes of the past, but this generation of political and business leaders, this generation of conscious citizens can make things right.
The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change says that the world needs to commit to a plan that would limit the Earth's warming to 1.5 degrees, and that would require deep, rapid cuts to greenhouse gas emissions, mainly from fossil fuels. We will continue coverage on what it all means in the coming days and weeks here. Meanwhile, the controversial coal mine project has been rejected in the Rockies, with the federal government citing that environmental concerns is the top reason. APTN's Tamara Pimentel joins us from Calgary with those details.
The Minister of Environment and Climate Change announced the proposed Grassy Mountain coal mine will not proceed. Jonathan Wilkinson says the Southern Alberta project will likely have a significant impact on water, wildlife, and the First Nations communities. He said in a written statement on Friday, the Government of Canada has determined those effects are not justified in the circumstances, and therefore the project cannot proceed. The mine proposed by the Benga Corporation would process 4.5 million tons of coal per year over a 25-year period. That would create jobs, but it's caused some tension within First Nations there. Both the Piikani and Stoney Nakoda Nations filed appeals after a joint committee determined the mine was not in the public interest back in June. That appeal said the project would benefit First Nations communities, but groups like the Child Mountain Valley Society and the Niitsitapi Water Protectors say their leadership didn't consult with them first, and those appeals are expected to be heard in September. Tamara Pimentel, APTN National News, Calgary.
Thanks for that, Tamara. Colten Boushie was shot to death 5 years ago today. The 22-year-old red pheasant man was killed on Gerald Stanley's farm, and the Saskatchewan farmer was then acquitted for the killing in 2016. Boushie and his friends stopped at Stanley's farm after spending the day swimming. They say that they needed help with a flat tire, according to court documents. Boushie was in the back seat of the vehicle when Stanley shot him. His family filed a complaint against RCMP about how they conducted the investigation into his death, focusing more on property crimes linked to Boushie's friends than on what led to his death. The Civilian Review and Complaints Commission earlier this year found that our RCMP had discriminated against the family in their handling of this investigation. Stanley's acquittal, you'll recall, sparked widespread outrage across the country. Tonight, the Boushie family is holding a press conference, and we will have that story for you tomorrow. The family of an Inuvialuit woman who died in the custody of the RCMP are waiting for answers. Sylvia Panaktalak, a mother of 8, died at age 54 while under the watch of the RCMP in Tuktoyaktuk, Northwest Territories. In a press release by Calgary Police, who are leading an external investigation, Panaktalak was taken into custody for public intoxication around 10:30 p.m. on July 31st, and she died shortly after midnight. police did not release her identity, but APTN has spoke to her family. An autopsy was completed on August 4th, but Calgary police say they are waiting toxicology results to determine if they will proceed with a criminal investigation. APTN reached out to Northwest Territories RCMP. They declined to comment. Sylvia's mother, Elizabeth, says the family is in shock.
She was really a good person. Never did hurt nobody else. She's really a down-to-earth person, eh? I'm kind of in shock yet. I didn't find out till next day. I didn't know what was going on until the next day.
A new survey on policing has found a pattern of prejudice, mistrust and intimidation, and even violence, according to the more than 700 people who took part. The survey was conducted by the Southern Chiefs Organization of Manitoba. Grand Chief Jerry Daniels says that the majority of respondents say that they experience racism when interacting with those meant to serve and protect. Grand Chief Daniels joins us now. Thank you so much for being with us. You know, we always hear that there's just a quote, a few bad apples in police services, but you say this survey shows that the issue is well beyond that. Can you tell us about that?
Well, the foundation of the policing system goes all the way back to colonization. So that's a huge part of the character of the institution, and what it breeds is the continual sort of value system of colonialism, and that's sort of been transferred because those who do well in these institutions are those who have adopted the values and the language and the character of the colonization, which was really the foundation of policing in Canada.
You know, there's a lot of personal experiences that are shared in this survey. What were some of the ones that stuck out for you?
Well, I think any time that people have been impacted going forward, or they feel that you know, they're less safe in the presence of police is very troubling for us, because the police are designed to create safety for us, safety for our communities. That's the whole intent of it. So the fact that it is being perceived by a majority of people, that is probably the biggest part of all this.
You know, some of the people that took part in this survey, they had advice that they offered for police and policymakers to improve policing in Manitoba and to combat systemic racism. What were some of those things that had been shared?
Well, you know, we have concerns around over-policing. That's always been a huge issue. Also, the targeting, the racially targeting of certain demographics with First Nations. That's always a huge issue. I mean, the reason why there's so many of us First Nations involved with the justice system is a result of just how biased the system is, focused on, you know, engaging Indigenous people, questioning Indigenous people, and then treating them as if you know, that they've already done something wrong when they haven't. So there's a great deal of that going on, and so that's why the numbers there's so many people incarcerated, so many within the system.
You know, this comes on the heels of the Southern Chiefs survey that you guys did on racism in public services and the healthcare system. You know, what message does it serve when you have these surveys, and what's contained in them? What does it send to the people who make these decisions and create these systems and keep them running?
Well, what we want to do is really give them a taste of reality and what's really going on. Give them a qualitative sort of briefing on what exactly is happening within the policing, and the perceived impression that citizens have of the policing system. I think that's very important for policymakers from all parties.
Well, hopefully policymakers will be reading both of those reports, including this most recent one on systemic racism in policing. Always a pleasure to talk with you. Thanks for joining us. Thank you. We, of course, want to hear what you think about any of the news that we bring you. Here's how you can continue the conversation. Send your emails to news@aptn.ca. You can leave a comment on aptnnews.ca. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Follow APTN News and join the conversation and see our latest stories. Well, we need to take a break, but still ahead, it's the International Day of Indigenous People, and the United Nations has narrowed that focus to children in particular. We'll tell you more about that. Stay with us. Welcome back. Today marks the International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples. The United Nations hosted an online roundtable on Indigenous children's voices and rights. APTN's Chris Stewart has more.
Scholars and youth advocates took the stage to discuss the roles and concerns that young people have in society. From topics like language and culture, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, to residential schools, the Indigenous youth advocates discussed these issues from their point of view. And the roundtable members listened to their words. At 9 years old, Bella Whiskey Jack won a silver in 2019 at the UNESCO Child Author Competition with her short book called Honor the Treaties. Today, she talked about residential schools and its impact on her family.
The residential schools, it was a really hard time for my family and I, because I have quite a few family members that have experienced residential schools. And, well, thinking, like, when we found out about all those children, it made us, think about all those people and how hard it must have been for them to go through all that.
Others discussed the 60 Scoop and the TRC calls to action. This roundtable provided a rare opportunity for the young to have their voices heard.
Children, they have, a very unique perspective, I think, on everything, because they learn about all the, things that happened in the past and things that are going on now, and it makes them think that we have something to do with it. So children helping is really big.
Whiskey Jack's grandfather, Merle Morisseau, says children should be heard more.
If you really want to kind of just give yourself that re-energy, sit down with the kids, sit down with your grandkids and hear them clearly. Don't hear them from judgment, from past experience. Hear them from the perspective of, this is brand new, and they'll open up doors. They'll open up doors for you to hear and see things and go, okay, I do want to make things better.
With this day being the International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples, families are asked to teach and to learn from the next generation.
I want to say happy International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples. One way I'm going to celebrate is to spend time with my nephew and my little sisters to teach them about this day and what it means and how it's connected to what's happening in the world. I invite you to do the same with the children in your life. Teach them more about Indigenous peoples, where you're from, and if you are Indigenous, teach them more about themselves and their own cultural stories and history.
Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
Today, the Canadian Human Rights Commission released a third report on the human rights of the Innu in Labrador. It's a long-awaited follow-up to recommendations made in a 2002 report. Innu leaders say that progress has been made, but there's still much more that needs to be done. The report says racism and discrimination were neglected in previous reports, that the federal government did not recognize its constitutional responsibilities, leading to chronic underfunding of infrastructure, education, healthcare, and policing. The report is also calling for a modern treaty settlement within 3 years, which would recognize Innu self-governance. Innu Grand Chief Etienne Rich has this to say.
Like I said, the Canada need to do more. And there's a lot of stuff there that need to be focused, and I think it's very important that the federal government and provincial government need to implement and focus on the recommendations of our reports.
And an update now on forest fire evacuees here in central Canada. Hundreds of people from northwestern Ontario have been evacuated to Winnipeg today, adding to the current 3,000 First Nations evacuees staying in hotels across Manitoba. People from Wabsmung First Nation, also known as White Dog, arrived in Winnipeg today. The small community north of Kenora started top priority evacuations on August 4th as the fire burned closer to the community. Then yesterday, all residents were to leave. Members tried to get into hotels in Kenora, but many are booked solid, so they have been spread across Winnipeg to different hotels. Community leaders are trying to group residents together and are awaiting word on if Canadian Red Cross can assist in any way. Virginia Pateman is band representative and says on top of basic needs like food, clothes, and toiletries, people from Wabsmung need entertainment.
It's very hard, yeah. It's very stressful as well because a lot of them are cooped up in these hotel rooms, and we're trying hard to find ways to entertain them and to provide services for them. We're looking for all kinds of donations and in regards to activities, like water slides and Tinkertown, just something that will entertain them, while they're here.
Anyone who's looking to help those people from Wabsamung and other evacuees here in Winnipeg, you can call Tiffany at 204-232-3041. They're looking for financial donations along with toys, clothes, and toiletries. Well, an update on those fires in BC, where weekend rain in the interior stalled the spread of the raging White Rock Lake fire, but the relief might be short-lived. Over the past week, the fire nearly doubled in size to 557 square kilometers. The rain allowed the city of Vernon to cancel evacuation alerts, but hundreds of others closer to the eastern banks of the Okanagan Lake still can't go home. Hot and dry conditions are returning as well. The Kamloops area could see daytime highs of at least 35 degrees starting Thursday, with no rain in the 7-day forecast. Well, more than 100 care home residents who were relocated because of a wildfire near 100 Mile House, they'll be able to return home this week. The Flat Lake wildfire evacuation alerts have been lifted. The residents have been temporarily housed in Merritt, Kamloops, Salmon Arm, and Williams Lake after being forced out in mid-July. The Deputy Grand Chief of the Gwich'in Tribal Council has died. Deputy Grand Chief Christine McLeod passed away unexpectedly on Sunday morning, according to Facebook posts by the Tribal Council. McLeod was elected to the Tribal Council in September of 2020, along with Grand Chief Ken Kekovec. She was a mother and previously a vice chair of the Yellowknife Gwich'in Society. She served on the board of the Gwich'in Settlement Corporation. Her cause of death is unknown at the time. Well, it's time for another break, but there's still more news ahead. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's time now for our photo of the day. A beautiful sunset captured by Krista Nabis in the small northern Manitoba community of Cormorant Lake. Thank you so much for sharing this, Krista. Send us those pictures, especially of your family and friends in the community. You can email them to share@aptn.ca for a chance to be featured during the APTN National Newscast at our photo of the day. Let's take a look now at tomorrow's weather forecast. Off to the east coast, we've got 23 and sunshine for St. John, 26 with some cloud for Halifax. Kuujjuaq, sunshine, 18 degrees. Cartwright, 26 and a chance of showers. Saguenay, sunshine and 31. Chibougamau, rain and 27. 31 for Ottawa and a chance of showers there. 30 in Toronto. Sioux Lookout, cloudy and 27 degrees. Kapuskasing and Timmins, both 27 degrees and a chance of rain there. 22 in showers for Churchill. God's Lake, 19 and showers. Same with Norway House and the Paw. 24 in rain expected for Winnipeg. 23 in rain for Brandon. Cloud continues in southern Saskatchewan. 22 for Saskatoon and North Battleford. Only sunny spot, Buffalo Narrows, 18 degrees. Cloud and a chance of showers for LaRange. Sunshine and 20 degrees for High Level. 19 and sunny for Fort McMurray. 22 in showers for Edmonton. 25 in sun for Lethbridge. 31 in sunny skies for Kamloops. 32 in Penticton. 16 in showers for Prince Rupert. Mix of sun and cloud in Prince George, 23 degrees there. 15 in sunny for Old Crow. Mayo, 15 in showers. 20 for Fort Lear and Trout Lake, sunny skies there. Wati, 15. 15 also in Nunavut and sunny skies. 11 in Paulatuk and cloudy. Nuyot, 10 and sunny. Arviat, 15 and sunshine. Kenite, mix of sun and cloud and 8 degrees. Gloolik, mostly sunny and 8. A small hamlet in Nunavut is getting ready to open a new art studio next month, and as Sarah Connors tells us, it's much needed outlet in the community.
This portion of the mural is based on Sedna.
It's a sacred tale. Sedna, the Inuit goddess of the sea and the mother of all sea creatures. That's just one legend that's being painted here at the Redfish Art Studio in Cambridge Bay, Nunavut, that will soon be changing lives.
This art center itself is has a lot of classes and opportunities for these young people to come and get involved and do creative things. It's good for their soul, good for their well-being, especially in the summertime when they're not going to school.
Cambridge Bay's population is under 1,800 people. With limited recreational programs available for youth, the studio will offer many artistic outlets.
We're giving them a platform through art that can transfer into life. I mean,
Mark Slatter teaches welding to at-risk youth. The project won a $100,000 Arctic Inspiration Prize in 2019. The winnings were put back into the studio where they can offer the project to even more kids.
And we finally are at a place where we have these kids that have earned their way onto a pure pedestal, if you will. So now they can start policing their own, and their peers are kind of like, you know, noticing a massive difference in them, and they want to get on board.
I'm going to show you the walrus. He's kind of just a fun character.
Ellie Davis is in the community from down south. She's helping youth paint murals like this one, which will be used at the local paintball park.
So it's pretty cool that they're taking part in helping, and then they'll have ownership with it, and they'll really be able to connect to it.
Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
Some beautiful work there. Well, it's been a spectacular sight at the 2021 Olympic Games in Tokyo. A special drum gifted by a Squamish Nation family to Marnie McBean, Canada's chef de mission. She's been cheering Canada on throughout the Games. Features a copper shield and a maple leaf. And it represents the heartbeat of First Nations in Canada. A witnessing ceremony was held earlier in July. It's the drum maker is Alice Gus. She is also an artist on the traditional territory of Squamish, BC. She says that the drum is about family in part.
All the more power, all the more stronger, all the more representing of as a family. You know, we all have our families, and families have strong roots. So the more you know about your roots, the stronger person you're going to be. You know, so like the cedar tree teaches us to stand tall, be proud of who you are. The branches teaches us to reach out. And underneath the cedar tree are the roots, and the roots, again, talk about family. So like I said, the more you know about your family, the stronger person you're going to be. Whatever nation it is, it could be Squamish Nation, it could be the Kwakwaka'wakw Nation, it could be Haida, it could be Canada, it could be United States, you know, it's all around the world.
Well, that is a wrap on your news for this Monday. I'm Melissa Ridgen. Have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.